Hello, Stephen.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice, you too. How's your day been?
Been really busy. We were today packing our Easter treat packs for families across the community. It's a lovely story. We were given a very generous donation in memory of a lovely guy called Peter Crawley, who I've known really for many, many years. He was 61, sadly, when he passed.
Oh, okay.
And family and friends, instead of doing flowers, made a donation. And with that money, we were able to provide Easter treat packs, which was food, Easter eggs, for over 110 families across our community.
Ah, lovely. Yeah. That is lovely.
So we've just finished that today and we did the distribution this afternoon.
Oh, fantastic. So I want to jump straight into the charity. So you founded Kind in 1975, is that correct?
That was right. I was 6, as you...
Stop lying to everyone, you're not that young.
No, I'm not that young, sadly.
So your ethos is you believe that all children have the right to be the best they can be. Yeah. Is that correct? Yeah. What inspired you to start a charity?
It really goes back to my school days.
Okay.
I think when we spoke before, I've always lived in Liverpool 1, and I was fortunate enough to pass the 11 plus.
Yep.
And I ended up going to Quarry Bank High School as was.
Okay.
And while I was there, I got very, very pally with some lovely people. And one of my best mates was a guy called Ian Collins, and his dad, Reg Collins, was an NSPCC inspector.
Oh, okay.
So we got drawn in.
Yeah.
To the fundraising. But every year they did an annual camp to Wales, and great opportunity for us because there was always female volunteers and we were young lads, you know, so it was great. Good chance to meet women.
Is that all you went for?
Yeah, well, initially, yeah, because there was always female volunteers. But really, when we went, we were about 15.
Okay.
And I'm sure we were useless, but it was great being with the kids because, you know, on the bus going over there, they were all really quiet and a bit withdrawn, really. But then as they got to know us over the week, you just sort of different.
Come out of the shell a little bit.
And it was like a normal group. And by the end of the week, you were thinking, oh my God, this is too loud. Can't they go back to the start of the week? But I did that every year then at school.
Okay.
And 1974, Reg said to me, Stephen, we're not doing it. We've got no money and we've got no staff.
Pull the plug.
So we can't do it. So
it's sad because that happens far too often in schools, doesn't it?
Well, I said to Reg, and this would never happen now, but I said to Reg, let me do it. You know, we've been doing it. Me and the volunteers have been doing it for so long. We'll do the fundraising. You give us the kids and we'll go back to Wales.
Yeah.
And he said, as long as it doesn't cost us anything and you don't want any of our staff, we'll give you the kids. And we did. And it had a great week. And I just thought, you know what? This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because the reaction from the kids and the feedback from the kids was so good that it's what I wanted to do. So 1975, we did it on our own.
Yep.
And the idea was then we'd set up a charity. And, you know, you have to imagine this is 46 years ago. So Kids in Need and Distress was what it said on the tin.
Yeah.
And that's what we called it.
Was that the name from get-go, from day one?
It was, yeah. A good friend of mine, Greg Sorrell, who was, again, I was at Quarry with, we were thinking of names. I was thinking, it's got to be something that sounds nice, you know, like nice, and he said, how about something like Kids? And I thought, Kind sounds better. Then we got the acronym.
Yeah.
And, you know, as it's developed, we changed. So now it's not Kids in Need and Distress. It's Kind, investing in the future, our children. But the ethos and the philosophy is exactly the same.
Yeah.
We believe that every child deserves to have the chance to be the best they can. And it's up to the community and it's up to society to support them. You know, whether you're going to be the best bin man, you're going to be the best shop assistant, that doesn't matter. Not every kid's going to be a doctor or an engineer.
100%, yeah.
But they've got to know that what they're doing is the best
they've got potential to fill. No matter what it is, as you say, you have people who are really intellectual and can go on to be doctors, and then some people who are artistic, and it depends on their avenue. As long as they can fulfill their full potential and excel in their avenue.
And I've always found, and I say this to everybody, the saddest thing I've ever found when I've been working with kids is that lots of people talk to them.
Yeah.
Very few people talk with them.
Yeah.
And there's a mile of difference between those two words.
Massively.
You know, so we try and talk with our kids as well. But we're quite an old-fashioned charity because we believe that our children have to learn, the social skills and social values that most of us take for granted. Responsibility, respect for yourself, respect for other people, and we're trying to build foundations for our kids. So we lay the foundations for them, and then they can build on them.
Yeah, I feel like it's completely different in this society now because, I'm 30. So when I was a child, kids' respect then for elders and stuff was much greater than it seems to be today. I don't know if it's the age of social media and the internet or whatever that's sort of changing that. But I think kids struggle for respect more in today's society. So
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because we're older doesn't mean that we have to be respected.
Oh no, 100%.
Because we have to earn that, just like they have to learn that as well. But I say to them all, it's about respecting yourself and it's respecting other people. Because we are bringing up kids really in an age that I don't understand. I'm 66 this
learning.
year. Yeah. I've got a 17-year-old who teaches me how to use my phone because social media and
you're from a different generation, so that's standard, isn't it?
It is, and it's something that I think I am so glad that I grew up when I grew up.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to be grown up now.
And I get what you're saying because we speak about this all the time. Like my daughter's 11 in a couple of weeks and she can't go outside the gate. I don't trust the streets. I don't trust, sort of going out. And because she's stuck on a phone or stuck on a PlayStation, she isn't streetwise or street savvy. Whereas me and him used to get up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, have our breakfast and go out.
Go out for the whole day.
Come back for lunch, go out, come back for tea. That was it. And that's what we do. And I feel bad because my daughter's like, well, let me go out. And I'm like, oh, I'm reluctant because I don't trust outside. And I don't know if that's me being a bit daft. And I should sort of give her the freedom, but...
I think she's going to need it because obviously she's going to start secondary school, I believe, in September.
Yeah.
So it's a new world then, she goes to school on her own, she comes back on her own.
Well, we've been, in all the half terms, we've been going on walks and she loves bringing a scooter. So we let her sort of lead the way. So when she gets to a road, she knows she's got to stop, check the road, see if there's any cars coming. It's sort of just trying to instill these little lessons while we're out on a road, on a walk.
But I think that's the beauty of good parenting, because what you're doing is you're teaching your kids how to be adults, really. And I think that's what they need. It's those foundations. That you've instilled in her the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
She's going to go off the track sometime.
100%.
But she's going to come back on because she knows the difference. And I think that's the problem with a lot of kids. When a lot of kids don't know the difference between right and wrong, that's when we get problems.
And as a parent, like, my partner is a fantastic mother and I'm sort of the more stricter one. And sometimes I feel really bad, like I've been too strict. And then like people always say to us, your kids are an absolute credit to you because when we're out in public, they're never an issue, they're always well behaved. And I sit there at night thinking, okay, maybe I can be a little bit too harsh, but it works. Like I'm a bit of a Scrooge. So like instead of giving them a little bit of freedom, I'm like, don't do that. And she's just like, just tone it down a little bit, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll say one thing, Gary. It's easier to actually be a little bit less harsh.
Yeah.
Because I've say this to our volunteers and staff. If you go in and you're the kid's best mate and you're not telling them off and you're letting them do whatever they want, when you try and say, "Oh, you can't do that," it's impossible.
Yeah.
But if you go in and say, look, we've got to behave here, guys, and then you can be a little bit less strict, and then that's fine.
That makes sense.
But it's hard when you're just free for all and then say, stop.
Try and be staying.
Yeah, because it's like, no, if you let us do that, we can do it.
Yeah. So I want to take it back to the start of the charity. How do you start a charity? Like, I imagine
it's quite easy, to be honest.
I thought it'd be a lot of hard work. Yeah.
It was then. Don't forget, this is 46 years ago. We got a constitution written. Yeah. We applied to Charity Commission, and we got our registration on Christmas Eve, 1975.
Oh wow!
So we were a charity registered 24th of December, 1975.
Fantastic.
And it's something that I've done all my life. So it's just part of my family. Is part of my family, and I think that's. People say, well, how can that be? Well, it is because, I'm there 7 days a week.
You've invested your whole life into that, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I have. It's true, and I've got 3 children, 3 lovely children, and I've got 3 grandkids who I love dearly.
But at the same time, if you didn't invest that much time into it, it wouldn't be as successful as it is today. You wouldn't have helped as many children, because you can get people who sort of just sit on the outskirts and like, yeah, I'm not going to put that much effort in. You've, put everything you have into that.
And you know what? I've always had good teams of staff. I'm not taking all the credit here because, without a staff team, without the volunteers, you couldn't achieve anything.
You've got to have a good spine, haven't you, in any organisation?
That's right. You have. And we've got great volunteers. We've got a great staff team. They give 100%. Yeah.
And you have volunteers who have attended as children as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of the testimonials online, and it's fantastic.
We get people who come back because they enjoyed what they did when they... It's funny, we've got a 16-year-old who was coming in and doing 1 day a week. And I won't name her, but she came to us when she was 8.
Oh, wow.
And she enjoyed it. And she said, I want to give something back.
Yeah.
She's doing A-levels now. And so it's that sort of thing, you really get a buzz from that. I do, anyway.
But from the children's point of view, if, you've got somebody who's never experienced what they're experiencing, trying to sort of guide them out of it.
Yeah,
kids are good at reading people, and they'll be like, you don't know what I'm going through. But that volunteer who's been there 8 years prior or whatever has been through what some of them children are going through, so they can relate.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think over the 46 years, society's changed greatly, and the one thing that I've noticed is that the quality of housing for most of our kids is excellent.
Yeah.
But because when I used to go out in the 70s, I would know which house I was going to.
Yeah.
I'd be driving or walking down the street and I'd be thinking, that's the house I'm going to.
Yeah.
And it would be, because it'd be overgrown, there'd be stuff in the garden. And there's still little bits like that now.
But you don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Precisely it, yeah.
So with the charity, I know there's sort of 5 main programmes. So you've got Kind Education, Out of School, Summer Residential, Christmas Appeal, and then Support. Can you sort of explain the programmes?
I mean, basically, we've always done a Christmas Appeal.
Yep.
Since 1975, we've always done a Christmas Appeal. And I'll tell you a story why, if that's okay.
Yeah, go on.
As I said before, I went to Quarry Bank, which was a different world to me. Different world. It was in Allerton. I live in Liverpool 1. All the kids' dads had like professional jobs, and my dad was a seaman,
Yeah.
But I always remember the first summer before I went, we went to and this gives you an example. We went to the Summer Fete. It wasn't a summer fair.
Summer
It
fete.
was a summer fete.
See, I've heard that term being thrown around loosely. What is a fete?
It's a fair, but for posh people. but we went to the Summer Fete, my mum and some of my brothers, and we could have a look at the school, and it was great, and there were raffles and everything else. And then I started in the September. Lovely. That Christmas, knock on the door, and I answered it, and a guy from my school I recognised, the sixth former, and he said, "Is your mum in?" And I said, "Yeah." So my mum came, and he said, "This is for you, Mrs. Yip." And it was a food hamper. And I said, "Mum, we must have won the raffle. Remember all those raffle tickets we bought?" And so never thought anything about it. Had a great Christmas. That was it.
Yeah.
When I was in lower sixth, I became chair of community action at Quarry.
Okay.
And the other chair, the outgoing chair, said to me, "Stephen, we work with 2 churches in Liverpool. One, we work with St. Michael's in the city and St. Vincent's. And what they'll do at Christmas time, they'll refer families, and we do the fundraising, and then we make up hampers and we deliver them. Because these are families who need a bit of extra help."
Oh, okay.
And then it all sunk in. We were one of them families. Now,
Because of the area you were living in, is that?
yeah, well, I don't know. They just assumed. And you know what? I think we were. I lived in the last of the back-to-backs in Liverpool. These were 6 rooms where 10 of us lived.
But again, going back to sort of good parenting, that's where your parents have done a fantastic job, because you were none the wiser to that.
No, I had the best childhood.
I always say
ever.
this now, like, I never ever went without, and especially at Christmases. And then I always say to my partner, like, at Christmas, now I appreciate my mum, and I don't know how she done it, because tonight I've got a well-paid job, but it's really expensive to make sure the children have everything they want. And I was like, my father passed when I was 5, and then I had a stepdad, but like my mum was working multiple jobs and making ends meet, and she didn't make it apparent to me at an early age. I didn't know that it was a struggle or a grind. I was just like, this is normal.
Well, that's why I've always done Christmas, because I think Christmas is the hardest time to be poor.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at what they're going to be getting on.
100%.
And so, and also when we first started Kind, what we were finding was a lot of our mums, and they were mainly mums, were borrowing. They were having a provvy. They were going on the Providence checks. And they were borrowing in October, paying back the next October, and then going back into debt. Yeah. So they were never out of debt. And if they had a problem, say something broke or they had to buy something that they didn't expect, there was no extra money because they were already in debt. Yeah. So we started during the Christmas appeal to say to mums, look, don't go into debt. We'll give you the hamper of food. We'll give you the toys. We'll give you the new clothes. Don't go into debt. And that's how it started. So, and it went from a couple of hundreds to last year we reached out to over 10,000 children and adults across our community. And it's not cheap. It's scary. £100,000 it cost us.
But it's scary that there's that many people sort of in the community who are at need, you know what I mean?
And every one of ours is either known to us or referred by another organisation. So last Christmas, we worked through 45 organisations across Merseyside who were working with children and families in need. And they referred to us. They go and deliver them. So people not necessarily know it's kind because, you could be the social worker or the teacher.
Just the engine churning it all out.
So, it's like, Carl gave us this great hamper and all the toys he gave us. And really that's come to us, but that's fine as long as it's making a difference.
It's not about, making face. It's about the children and the families getting the support they need.
It's about saying to those families, other people in the community care about you.
Yeah. Now, £100,000, a lot of money. Is that all through sort of donations and fundraising?
Christmas appeal started 0, October 31st, and whatever we raise, we'll spend at Christmas. Wow. So what's been happening the last few years is we've been raising money between Christmas and New Year. People have sent checks in. So we've been doing New Year hampers. So we've been getting in touch with the groups and saying, right, who are the most disadvantaged families? Let's give them a great start for January. Let's give them a great start to the new year. And it's worked, because we say to everybody, we're not going to go into debt for Christmas. We'll spend what we raise, but if you give £1 at Christmas, we'll spend £1.
Yeah.
So it's not about, we'll spend 50p and we'll take 50p for the fundraising.
Yeah. Whatever comes in
gets spent.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you were mentioning about different organisations. So that's the Christmas appeal, but how do children come to the charity? Have they got to be in sort of shelter housing or
no?
How does it work?
So Christmas is one part. Yeah. We do the school programme,
which I remember because I went to part of my school.
Yeah. So we basically work with schools who are in areas of disadvantage and who don't have the sort of opportunity to do the things that we can offer at our centre. Yep. So we will work. We have a school program. We have an 11-week out of school program where kids are referred. Yep. And it's getting to the stage now where some parents will pay to send their kids to us, which is great for us because it helps with our fundraising, because they want their kids to experience our out of school weeks.
So what happens in the out of school weeks then?
It's like summer club. We just finished the first week of Easter club. Okay. So it's great. The kids do sport, baking, arts and crafts.
It's teaching them soft skills and life skills, isn't it?
But everything behind that is about the social values, responsibility.
Should have many children coming from sort of like single children families, like they're the only child? Because I imagine they're not getting, like, I'm quite lucky. We've got 3 kids and they bounce off each other all the time and they're teaching each other every day. So for a child to come from a single child family, they don't have the opportunity to socialise or be with someone.
And especially in the last lockdown, it's been very
really
difficult.
Tough.
Yeah. And we had children last summer. We had 6 weeks of summer, and then we had all our schools booked in for September to November. Then they all cancelled because obviously everybody was paranoid about coming out of school. So this is our first week of kids after summer. So we're now got our schools booked in till the end of summer. At the end of the summer term, and then we'll have 6 weeks of summer club as well. Oh, wow. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it happens and we don't get cancellations.
Well, I've said this many times. This is probably the first time they've actually put dates on events, and they've got to be held accountable now. So I think everything will run smoothly and open, and the schools.
I've got my fingers and toes firmly crossed, Gary.
Me too. Now, what's changed from 1975 to today? What's the biggest thing that's changed?
It's a hard one, that, because there's still major disadvantage, but a lot as well is the disadvantage in aspiration. Okay. We've worked with kids where there's been no employment in the family. Yeah. So, when you look at role modelling, you're looking at your dad, your elder brother, your uncles, who all don't work. Yeah. And I think the big job for us is aspiration. We've got to say
that's the norm,
kids,
isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to get out of this. Education is your way out.
Yeah.
Sport is, but very few kids are that good that they'll get out that way. But for education or getting a job, and I think that's the big thing for us.
I know people who are really good at sport and, they're pursuing a career at it, but some of the parents are like, you need a safety net because it only takes sort of one horrific injury.
Yeah, and you're done.
It ends it for you. So you need to have a safety net. You need to have a career behind you that you can fall back on. So I get that.
I would say the poverty of aspiration is still there.
Yeah.
But it's hopefully going to be changing. We're still dealing with children who we supply, shoes and clothes to. We've just finished 10 weeks of crisis food packs and education packs for the second national lockdown. We did 12 weeks in the first shutdown. So, there are still families that need that support. And that's a sad thing because, it's 2021. We've got to be moving that. We're a first world nation. We have so much money in this country. We shouldn't have food banks.
Well, do you know what's silly, right? I don't know. I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit, but there's a show on Netflix out at the minute called Seaspiracy. It's about how important the oceans are to the survival of the planet. And all the organisations sort of who are behind Dolphin Friendly and all this, I think they get paid like $35 billion a year for all like the branding. And the UN stated that it'll cost $30 billion to end world poverty. So they're getting paid £5 billion more just for all their branding than to fix world poverty. So it's scary. The money's going down the wrong avenues in the world, And it is, we're quite lucky to be from, a city where there's a lot of togetherness and people always pull together. Like since the lockdowns and it was all the school meals and all the food banks, everyone seems to be pulling together. There's all different organisations around the city popping up, people doing fundraisers, and it's, I imagine there's places within the country who don't have this sort of
No, I think the one thing that COVID showed us, that working together, we can overcome most things.
Yeah.
But you've got to work together. And I think we've got to keep that positiveness that COVID's given us because, it's been a horrible year for everybody. But, for the most disadvantaged, and not just the material disadvantage, but the fact, as you said, if you're living in a flat, you haven't got internet or that, you're quite isolated. You couldn't go out. If you're elderly and no one can come and see you because of COVID, it's frightening, isn't it? So we've got to harness that goodwill and that positivity and that working together because we can make change.
Yeah, well said. Couldn't agree more. Now, before we move on, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you in person for all the amazing work that you've done for all the vulnerable children in the community. So thank you very much.
Just gone red now. You just embarrassed me.
So I want to move on to you're running for mayor. So you're hoping to become the first independent mayor of Liverpool. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do it?
That's a hard one because, I'm trying to be as honest with people as I can.
Yeah.
And, I was a Labour Party member for many years until 20 years ago when we invaded Iraq, and I thought that was wrong and I left, never went back. But I voted Labour for most of my life because my background, where I was brought up, in the middle of Liverpool, I couldn't vote anything else.
Yeah.
But I could not, hand on heart, vote Liverpool Labour. And I've been moaning about this, and people have basically said, stop moaning, shut up, or do something. And so after a little bit of thought, I thought, you know what, let's give it a go.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Because, it's not a job for me. It wouldn't be a career change for me.
You've mentioned that about the salary, haven't you? You've said you're going to take the average salary in Liverpool.
What kind pays me, I would take that from the city council. And the idea is that we are, and I've been thinking about this. The original idea was that we would put it in a trust. People from Liverpool could apply for it. But you know what I've been thinking about? Wouldn't it be better? Potentially the elected mayor will last for 4 years.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be better with that £60,000? We try and create 3 jobs for young people.
Yeah.
Or 4-year training courses for young people.
Yeah.
And so that the mayor's salary, and even at the end, creates 4 qualified young people from our city.
Yeah.
Who can then go on and do something amazing.
Yeah, no, I get
so,
that.
So that's one of the things. As I say, this is not a career move for me.
No.
But I feel we need a reset button.
Well, you've got sort of a 4-point vision. So you've got rebuilding trust, offering real life experience, bringing Liverpool together, and then reset Liverpool. Yeah. And your reset Liverpool's got a 10-point plan. Yeah. So what is the 10-point plan then?
Don't ask me for all 10 points.
Just give me a few then.
To me, because I've worked with children, I think the training in our city for young people is not what it should be. You know, we need proper training if we're going to give our young people the opportunity, not only to help rebuild Liverpool, but if they want to go all around the world or all around this country, they'll be qualified. Yeah. You know, we need proper training, 4-year apprenticeships or 3-year apprenticeships. And we need to be working with partners like the university, like the community college. I think that's the one thing that I want to do. I don't think that a party label will enable us to achieve what the city needs. And that's what we said before, the benefit that COVID's brought us, working together. So I'm going to work with anybody who wants to put Liverpool at the front of everything they do. So whether that's Lib Dems, Labour, Conservative, Greens, Liberal, I'll work with anybody. But we've got to bring in the university, we've got to bring the unions.
It's got to be Liverpool first, doesn't matter about the party. Yeah.
And it's got to be us. I don't know all the answers, Gary. Yeah. You know, I'm not a politician, and I'm being really honest with you here. Yeah. I'm not a politician. But when I look at what the politicians have done, I am so glad I am not a politician.
Yeah, no, and you've mentioned before that you'll surround yourself with the right people for the right sort of jobs. And going back to you sort of saying that, you know, you lost no love with Labour or trust in Labour. So reset.
At the moment, I think
a lot of people are, though.
Yeah, I think this will give the party, I think it'll give all the parties in Liverpool a chance to look at themselves and say, we have got to change. Because the one thing, let me just finish this one. The one thing that we haven't got or had in this city for a number of years is accountability, transparency, oversight. Yeah. People have been allowed to do what they want. Yeah. Now, my argument against the other parties is, well, you must have known what's going on. Why haven't you said something? Yeah. And the other really sad thing for me, and the thing that really annoyed me, was after the Max Calla report, not one of those 90 councillors, not one of them, stood up and said to the people of Liverpool, sorry. Yeah. All right.
They don't want to.
We were asleep on the job. We should have done more. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying, oh, you're to blame for all this.
But it goes back to accountability. No one wants to be held accountable. Yeah,
but we've got to be. And I think, you know, going back to the 10-point plan, I think two of the most important things is a whistleblowers commission for council employees. Yes. Where they feel 100% safe that if they go and speak to somebody in this commission, it's confidential. They're not going to lose their job. No one's going to be saying, oh, who are you talking to such and such about? Have you told? So if they feel that they're being asked to do something illegal or immoral, they've got the opportunity to go and speak in confidence.
There's got to be integrity.
There's got to be.
100%. And like, the city's being burnt by politics, and people, they're sort of scared to trust in someone again. Mm-hmm. So from conversation that I've been having with people about having you on and stuff, there seems to be a trust building within the city. How do you think? Like, do you think you're going to have a massive support? Is there many people jumping on now, or?
I've had it's been very positive. Yeah. But you know, you and I both know, and I'm saying this to everybody because once the party political machines start to roll, they are machines. I'm not. I've got a small band of people, volunteers, who are helping me, you know, give stuff out, speak to people. But when you've got party machines that operate in every single of one of our 30 wards, we're up against that. You know, I've got 180,000 election addresses to get out with 15 people. So we've got a job on.
Yeah, you have 100%. But at the same time, like, Liverpool it's probably the safest Labour seats for the last 40 years. Yeah. Always has been. And then you get the current party leader, Keir Starmer, coming out and saying he'll let the Conservatives take over Liverpool City Council. Like, that's a poor move from the Labour leader. From a city that is Labour through and through, to say, okay, let the Conservatives take control of the City Council. He shouldn't have done that, because now a lot of people... Because people have spoken... I don't really like talking politics because people get really emotional about it. Yeah. And I don't trust... I don't trust in any politics. World politics are falling over at the minute. But, like, I will vote Labour because I've always been Labour. But I don't trust them, and I don't trust the party.
And this is why I think it's important that there's an opportunity to vote for an independent. You know, I've had some people giving me stick because I welcome the commissioners.
Yeah.
I welcome the commissioners. And some people have said, oh, you're just arse-licking to Robert Jenrick. It's not that. What I'm trying to say is, because Boris Johnson has sent in the commissioners, Boris Johnson cannot fail in Liverpool. Yeah. He cannot be seen to fail. Because he's saying, oh, the Labour Party in Liverpool's failed. I'm going to send the commissioners in and I'm going to help. And to be fair, he could have been a lot harsher. He could have said, I'm taking control. Yeah. I'm going to suspend the council. I'm going to move in with commissioners and we're going to run the city until you can prove to us that you're
So is capable. It being done sort of hand in hand, is it?
He has said, Robert Jenrick said in his speech at Parliament, I'm going to send commissioners in and they're going to work with the chief exec. They're going to work with the council and with the newly elected mayor. And if the council, in the form of the councillors and elected mayor and chief exec, can prove themselves, we're withdrawing. But I think that the beauty of having the commissioners there is that Boris Johnson will be forced to inject some money into this city. Yeah. Because he will not want to be seen to be failing. And so, but also, I think it's really important. We have got to have a root and branch investigation into every area of the City Council's work. We've got to start from ground zero. We've got to prove to people that the mismanagement, the lack of accountability stops here. And that's going to be hard because people have been used to doing what they want, really.
Yeah. It's been a free-for-all.
Yeah. And there's been no oversight. So I think the second part is bringing in the Standards and Oversight Committee, independent again of the council, who have the authority to ask the question that anyone in Liverpool would ask, why did you do that? Who gets the benefit? Where's the paper trail? Yeah. You know, the Max Keller report mentioned some terrible things about lack of paper trail, you know, where the paper trail was ending up in a skip.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to track down and find evidence if it's gone.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've now got to say to the equivalent of Max Keller, well, you need to be looking at everything we've done. And hopefully, if we can prove that some of these things have been done illegally, we can get the land back. We can get, you know, some of the money back. And then we can look at putting that land in for the benefits of the Liverpool people.
But that's the difficult thing, because they don't have to prove their innocence. We have to prove they're guilty.
No, and that's why it takes so long. Yeah. This police report's been taking 3 years now. But you know what? I have faith in Liverpool. You know, I love this city.
Yeah.
You know, I've lived in this city for 66 years. My kids have grown up here.
You're one of its own, aren't you? So.
Yeah. You know, and I think working together with people of goodwill, working together with people who want to change.
There's so many people who want to do good to the city.
And I think we can do it. And I think we've got to work with London.
Yeah.
You know, this is not London against Liverpool.
Us and them.
No, this is
and us. It has been for so long.
It has been. And I think, you know, the 80s were completely different. But this is London with Liverpool, with the good people of Liverpool, against mismanagement, lack of transparency. And let's say the word corruption.
Yeah.
Let's say it.
Yeah.
You know, they're talking about £100 million. We don't know where it's gone. That's almost 2 years running costs.
It's scary and it's silly.
It's frightening.
It's daft.
You think what that could do for children, the elderly, for the care sector, even for our roads? It's frightening, Gary.
And from an outsider's point of view, like, you look at all these sorts of high-rises going up and then they get stopped, and the money could be getting injected into much more important things within the city. Like, it's the city. I've always loved Liverpool, but I'm falling out of love with the city because of the way it's been going. Like, I've always loved being here, never want to move. And now I'm like, do I want my kid, the way it's going, do I want my children to grow up here? And it makes me upset because again, I'm from the city and I'm Liverpool through and through. So it needs change.
I think that's why, again, I'm standing, because I want a future. My son's 17.
Yeah.
My grandchildren are 10, 11, 13. I want a future like you. I want a future for them.
Yeah.
I want them to be proud of where they're from and to say, yeah, I'm from Liverpool. And I think the one thing that COVID is going to enable us to do is have a radical look at what the future for Liverpool could be.
Yeah.
I think we have enough 1-2 bedroom apartments. We need family houses.
100%.
We need, because if you look at property pool, if you've got a couple of kids, 3 or 4 kids, you've got no chance of getting anywhere to live.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in a 2-bedroom flat.
But even on Edge Lane, there's tourist housing, was LMH going up, and I was looking at sort of buying a property on that plot, and I was like, any 4 beds available? They were like, we've got 2. So there's only 2 4-bedroom houses on that huge plot. A lot of flats. The front of the Edge Lane is going to be flats for professionals and students, and then the back of it is housing. But it's just 2-bed houses and a couple of 3 and 2 4. And I was like, again, that area, there's a lot of families with a lot of children in that area.
And I think this is where we need to be talking to the professionals to say, what is the demand for family housing? How many do we have to build? And again, I think we should be building social housing. I also think we should be building housing for people to buy who would perhaps never have the opportunity.
Like the shared ownership scheme.
My mum and dad bought our council house.
Yeah.
I lived in council houses all my life, basically. My mum and dad bought it.
Yeah.
And I think that gave them ownership and responsibility.
But you'd have the right to buy and right to acquire schemes as well, which offer people discounts, which gives you the incentives to buy. And like as you said, it's the opportunity that you're never going to face.
Never going to get, because if unless you're on a very good income.
Yep.
So I think, as I say, COVID is a once in a generation. It's even a once in a lifetime opportunity to look at the city and to say, what do we need now?
Yeah.
I mean, we're working with some people at Waterloo Dock.
Yeah.
Now, there's a scheme down there which we're going to oppose, which is filling in the oldest dock in Liverpool and building apartments. That's not right. We're asking Peel as well to look at their plans, because they've got all these plans for 30 skyscrapers on the front, but
them docks are the history of Liverpool.
Precisely.
Liverpool is built on them docks.
Well, it's also part of our World Heritage Site.
Yeah.
So, it's a chance now to say, let's all sit down, let's all chill out, and let's look at what the future is for the next 20, 30, 40 years for this city, for our kids and our grandkids.
So with the reset then, if you are successful, are there any sort of quick wins that you can get in where you'll start winning people over, or is everything sort of long term?
I think it's going to be hard, Gary, and I think we've got some difficult decisions, because it's not until you get elected that you look at the books properly.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. You take over a business, you look at the books properly, and you can say, God, is that really
I'm into it
how
deep,
much we've got? Yeah. But also you can find out, someone was telling me there's something like 20 million in a certain fund that's never been touched. And it's like that. So when you get in and you have a forensic accountant who's in with you and using perhaps the universities to help with that.
Yeah.
And you start looking at where the money is and where the money's gone. And then you can start saying to people, look, here's a plan. Here's a plan that we've discussed with people of goodwill, with the unions, with business, with the universities, with our third sector, with the faith sector. Here's an opportunity, and we think we'll put it to you.
Yeah.
Because we've got to be transparent. People are saying to me, I ask questions to the council all the time, but I've got to do it through freedom of information. I think that's wrong.
It's because they're not approachable. The people who work for them aren't approachable. And that's why I personally hope you are successful, because you've got the rapport with people. You're in the community every single day of your life. You're for the past 46 years, is it, with the charity? So people can trust in you.
Well, I'll be there. I've said I don't want a chauffeur-driven car. Yeah. I live in town. I'll walk to work if I get elected. And, if I have to go somewhere, I'll get a taxi or I'll drive myself.
It's funny you say that, because before at the end, I'm going to ask you some questions. I got a note from a guy in work who wrote a list of questions, and some of them are sort of like serious about the city, and then ones I was laughing. Ones are like, when was the last time you rode your bike? When's the last time you got public transport? And at first, when I took it for face value, I laughed and I was like, what kind of question's that? And then Mel said to me last night, it's because people want to know what type of person he is.
I'd agree with you. I can't ride a bike to save my life. I walk everywhere.
Yeah.
I used to be a runner, and then I've got scoliosis now in the back. Okay. So I walk everywhere because that's my exercise. Yeah. I would love to ride a bike. I would have to ride a 3-wheeler. And we were thinking that Kine should have a 3-wheeler that I could advertise. Because I could do, I've got no balance. Never had a bike as a kid, so I've got no balance. But no, I walk. I live in town.
Yeah.
So I walk everywhere. You know, I've had to come, my wife dropped me off here tonight, and then she's gone to see her family in Norris Green. So she's going to pick me back up. But most of the time I walk.
Everywhere.
And the thing is, I've got a dog. Yeah. I've got a lovely Shih Tzu called Benji, who's 3, who's got his own Instagram page. The kids all love him. Yeah. So, you know, it's just now I just went to go shopping in Heron.
Yeah.
And I also shop in other shops as well. But, you know, 6 people stopped me and said, is it right you're standing?
Yeah.
And so you're talking to people. But what I can't do, and what I'm trying not to do, is to make any promises because I don't know. You know, I'm saying this again to you. I am not a politician. I've got 46 years of running a charity, which has given me great skills and expertise in some areas. Yeah. I'm not a politician, but I think I can bring people together.
But it's because you're relatable, and I think that's what the city needs, because nobody, like all these politicians, you don't know what goes on in and out their lives. People can relate to your story.
Well, I hope so.
You're a real person to people. That's why you are, you know, you do appeal to people.
And I hope that I'll still be accessible. I'll still be walking to work. Yeah. You know, I hope people won't be abusing me. But I don't know. But I'm going to be honest with people. That's what I've said from the very start.
But you are going to get haters because that's just society. Yeah. But it's just how you deal with them. That's all.
And that's something, you know, that I'm really not used to. I've got to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm not used to that. And I've had a little bit of that now. It was so positive at the very start, and then there's been a few little things happening, and I get quite upset.
People find it so easy to be negative rather than be positive. So,
well, it was like, you know, I had I was speaking to a friend of mine, and she was saying about a friend of hers who was saying, "Oh, that's Stephen Yip, he's an arselicker for Robert Jenrick," and I said, "No, that's not true. Yeah. I welcome the commissioners because I think it gives us an opportunity to reset that button, but with support from London."
But that's because there's no understanding there for it to listen to.
Because it's just about, you know, I think the Labour Party have tried to sort of run the line of it's us against them again, you know, but it's not. It's not.
So, what does Liverpool mean to you then?
Well, Liverpool is my city, isn't it? You know, my dad was a Chinese seaman who came here from Canton, met my mum, had 10 children, 2 who sadly died in infancy. But, you know, we were all born here, you know. We haven't gone down the traditional Chinese path. You know, we don't own a chippy, we don't own a laundry, we don't own a restaurant. You know, one of my brothers was a policeman, one of my brothers was in the union, my sister worked for Littlewoods, another brother worked for SLP, South Liverpool Personnel.
Diverse list of jobs.
Yeah, and I've got a brother who works for the ambulance and the council. Okay. So, you know, we've done really normal things that normal Liverpool people do. Yeah. But it means everything to me, Liverpool, because it's where I live. You know, I don't want to go anywhere else. Yeah. I don't want to move. But I want my kids and my grandkids, like you, to have a future here. And I think training is so important. You know, vocational training. If you want to be a doctor, that's great. You can do the A-levels. If you're not very good academically, but you're good with your hands, then we should be saying to you, we need you. You know, we need you to build our houses.
Tradesmen have fallen over.
We haven't got them. No. Because training is so poor in the city.
And when you get people who come in who are qualified, they're not. No. They struggle.
They're not struggling because it's such poor training. But I want to say one thing, if I can, through your podcast, Gary. I want to applaud the thousands and thousands of council workers who have been doing an amazing job for this city during the pandemic, and also the council officials. You know, I'm not going to tar all of them with the same brush. We can't do that. They have done an amazing job, and I want to thank them. And I want to say, you know, I'm going to be there for you. You should have the Whistleblowers Commission, because people have said to me, "Oh, Stephen, we knew this was going on 6 years ago." You know, taxi drivers were telling me, they knew it was happening 4 years ago. Yeah, but we have got to support them because they do an amazing job for our city, and without them, the city would fall.
Well said. So I hope you're successful. I really do.
Well, fingers crossed and toes.
Right, so when I spoke to people saying that I had you on, some people sent in some questions, so I've got a list of questions just I'd like to go through. Don't feel under pressure to answer them all. But yeah, I'll go through them. So first one, someone's asked, what lessons have you learned regarding the previous mayor?
I think if elected as the elected mayor of Liverpool, I would be accessible.
Okay.
I would be transparent.
Yep.
I would bring in the best people I could who mightn't give me the answers I want, but are honest. And I think that's the difference. We need to have people who can say, you can't do that because it's not going to work or it's too expensive. But we can only do that if we bring them in and ask them the question. So, you know, I think bringing in the university, bringing in the unions, business, working together, you know.
Be black and white, eradicate the grey areas because it's just confusing.
As I say, I'm going to say it again, I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
But I really believe that I have the skills from working for 46 years in a charity to bring people together and to give them common cause.
Yeah.
Because that's what I really believe in. I think we need, as a city, to get together, whether we're Liberals, whether we're Tories, whether we're Labour, Greens, we've got to work, Lib Dems, we've got to work together.
It's Liverpool. It's not a party.
So that's what, I've said it before. Voting for Stephen Yip is not voting for me personally.
Yeah.
It's voting for Liverpool.
Well said.
And that's what I want.
Well said. Next one, a bit of an emotional one, this, because it winds people up.
Oh, God.
I've been asked, are you going to get rid of the congestion bag scheme on West Derby Road? So I don't know if you've seen it. So they've closed half the road from here to like the Royal for bikes, and it causes mayhem with traffic.
I think, and again, it's a bit off the top of my head here.
Yeah.
I think we have to look at greening our city.
Yeah.
But if we have congestion and backed up cars, all they're doing is spewing out CO2. Yeah. So we've got to look at keeping the traffic moving and also allowing people to use bikes safely. Yeah. Even though I can't ride a bike, I think my son does.
That's wide enough to get your freewheeling in, though. So
well,
it's
it is wide. It's wheel enough to get a but no, I think there are problems with that. Some of it, I think, was a bit of a there's a bit of money there. Let's get it and do it.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to look at that.
Decision,
I think we've got to look at that more seriously and also take some expert advice.
Yeah.
You know, not just think, oh, we've got to do that. There are other ways that we can do it. But I think congestion, all it does is spew out CO2.
Yeah, it causes more problems, yeah. Okay, the next one, I've performed stand-up comedy, so I speak to people in the hospitality industry within the city centre. So this was by a bar owner. So he's asked, will you listen to the voices of business owners within the city, the people who are working tirelessly to provide services to encourage tourism and visitors to the city? This question was asked because they said the previous mayor ignored all their attempts to form a committee of bar and restaurant owners.
Okay, I've been speaking to Pub Watch. Okay. Speaking to a number of people who own bars in the city, and what I want to do, the nighttime economy and the tourism economy brings so much money into the city. It's
unbelievable amount of money.
I think for some reason the city doesn't appreciate that. So we need a commission which has everybody who's interested, the taxis, the police, the owners, senior
They're
council.
The subject matter experts.
Yeah,
this goes back to you saying, I'm not a politician.
I'm not a politician. I'm
I'll
not an expert.
surround myself with the people who know their avenue the best.
So we want to speak to them. We want to have a senior council officer. We want to have, whether it's me or another senior elected member who sits on that, listens to what they're saying, and again, works together to, your kids aren't going to be going out in the nighttime economy yet. Yeah. My son is shortly.
Not be, anyway.
No. But my son is shortly to do that. I want a nighttime economy which is not only safe for visitors, but safe for the people who work there.
Yeah.
And so that the drug dealing, the violence, not there. Yeah. And I think we've got, the one thing that I've found when I've been speaking to people who are in this sector is they're like me, they have a passion for what they do. and they want it to be safe, and they want to be successful.
It's needed more than ever now because we've been locked down for so long. You're going to have two chunks of people who turned 18 in lockdown and don't have any experience of Liverpool nightlife, and they're all going to be rushing out to experience it. So there's going to be people who don't know what it's about.
And what I've said to them when I've been speaking about this is, you know what? Taxi drivers, people who work in pubs, in clubs, in restaurants, they are the first people that most tourists or, people who come into town see.
Yeah.
They're our ambassadors. So we've got to make sure that they're trained, that they know what they're doing. And that's what they want to do as well. Yeah. And that it's a safe area for everybody. The police, I'm sure, will want to work with them closely because, they need the information.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see drug dealing in our streets. Nobody wants to see knife crime or gangs. So we've got to be working together in a nighttime commission, in a hospitality commission, whatever we're going to call it. Yeah. We're going to bring them in and say, tell us what the best way is. Let's look at all the different areas, whether we're looking at Manchester, whether we're looking at London or other cities in this country. But let's get the best ideas and bring them into the city. Because what I really want, Gary, I want Liverpool not to be the laughing stock of this country. Yeah. I want us to be a city where people look at us and say, wow, look what they did. How do we do that?
We want to be the benchmark.
Precisely.
Yeah, well said.
We want to be a beacon.
Well said. The next one then, if it is a possibility, do you have any ideas in mind to avoid implementing localised lockdowns, given that the boroughs have now been given the power to lock down their areas until November 2021?
It is going to be very, very hard. And I think we have to take best advice. I'm going to say all those key workers, whether they were council workers, whether they were shop workers, whether they were the NHS, they put their lives on the line for us.
Yeah.
And I am not going to say, we're going to have no more lockdowns. If that R number goes up and if the NHS comes under stress again, we will have to take best advice from our medical experts. We've got to.
Yep.
Again, I'm of an age here. I'm 66 this year, and I'll be one of those.
You're one of the vulnerable ones.
Yeah, you've got to stay in, even though I'm fit. Yeah, tell him I'm fit, Gary. For God's sake.
You're all right. Yeah. He was doing cartwheels in the garden.
Well, not with the scoliosis. I
All right. Well, nice answer. What's the one thing in life that you pride yourself on?
Apart from my kids and grandkids, I hope that I've made a difference in someone's life.
Okay.
Even if that's one child a year for the last 46 years, I would say that's my life well lived.
Yeah.
I think it's more because I get great feedback.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. But making a difference in someone's life, helping to change that life, helping to change that child's outlook on their life. I'm proud of that. I think.
And so you should be.
We all strive, don't we, to be the best person we can be. And that's what we should be doing for our children, for everybody's children.
And generations to come.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Where do you see the city in 5 years' time?
Hopefully in a much better place. I think even if not elected, I hope that some of the ideas that we're pushing will be taken up by whoever becomes mayor.
Yeah.
That's my wish. And if they are, because there's a good chance the position of elected mayor will go in 4 years' time, because we're going to have a referendum in 2, which I've agreed, if mayor, I would honour.
Yeah.
Because I said this is not a career move for me.
Yeah. But
even if we go back to the old system of leader of the largest party becomes leader of the city, that's fine. But whatever system we have, we've got to have accountability, transparency, oversight, and everybody's got to agree to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we find ourselves in the position where we are now.
So taking steps backwards, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've got to move forward. I'm hoping that we will move forward. I hope that we can bring back the pride of people. I speak to people just today, when I'm out and about, and they say, this city, the politicians, bloody, and they roll their eyes, and it's like, and we can't have that.
Yeah.
You don't have to like the people you vote for, but what you do have to do is trust them. You've got to trust them.
Seen as the enemy at the minute, aren't they?
They are. But what you've got to be able to do is trust them that what they're doing is the best for the city and not the best for them. And that's the one thing that I want to say to anybody.
Historically, people now say that, they're only taking care of the pockets, to fill their own pockets, that's it. So,
well, I think that's one thing that no one can accuse me of. Because, I don't want this job. But it's not
about financial gains. You've come out, you've said it.
Someone has to reset this city.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if a political party wins, they'll be able to do that, because other parties won't work with them.
Yeah.
Other people won't work with them. So I think we do need an independence. And, it's not going to be easy. It's not like, I'll clip my fingers and everything. No, it's going to be hard. And we're not going to get everything right first time.
But I think that's what people need to understand, because people sort of expect overnight results.
No, it's not going to be.
With everything in life, people who want to go to the gym expect results overnight. Dieting overnight, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
People have got to give it time.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process, and there are going to be some difficulties, and there are going to be some hard choices, Gary.
100%.
That's the thing, I'm not going to lie to people and say, vote for Stephen Yip, and everything is going to be like Yellow Brick Road. No, it's not.
Yeah.
There's going to be hard choices to make. And I think...
You've got to upset some people down the road.
But I think if we can be honest with people and tell them why we're doing it, and then we're being transparent.
Yeah, that's it.
And people can say, well, you shouldn't have done that. But look, that's why we did it.
Exactly. I like this one. What's your favourite place to visit in Liverpool, and what's your favourite takeaway? I think this is people looking for the human in you.
Okay, my favourite, and I'm being honest here, and can I mention the restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay, my favourite is a Chinese, obviously.
Yeah.
With my heritage, Big Bowl.
Okay.
In Berry Street.
Yeah. Whatever.
Very, very great food. Very unpretentious.
Yeah.
But amazing. And I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for 32 years now. So it's great for a vegetarian.
Oh, good.
Best place I love. It's a hard one, that, because there's so many amazing places in this city.
Yeah.
But, when I walk around, and I do walk around a lot, when I walk down Bowl Street and into Church Street and, because I bank, I have to go to the bank up in Lord Street. It just fills me with a really happy feeling when I walk about Liverpool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Doesn't matter where you're at, you're just walking.
And because the one thing about Liverpool is, you nod to people, even if you don't know them. Yeah, morning,
We say this all the time, like it's one of the most friendliest cities, and even like when you're driving the car and you let someone out, you let on, you wave, and I find this the first time I drove in Europe and I was like let on to someone and they didn't, and I was fuming. I was like, you cheeky little bastard.
But it is like that, and as I say, we've got Benji the dog, so he's 3, so I'm walking with him. People always coming up saying hello to him, and then they say hello to me. But it's always Benji first.
Yeah, he's a celebrity. He's got to go.
He is a celebrity. But yeah, I think there's so many places I love in Liverpool. So I wouldn't want to pick one.
Just the city in general, then.
Yeah.
All right. What makes you stand out from the other candidates?
I'm not going to be that vain to say I do stand out. Okay. I think what I'm saying is I offer a certain way forward. And if people think we can get behind him on this and do that, that's great.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say, I'm better than her or him. No, I'm not.
You're not in it for that game.
No. I'm not a politician. That makes me different than the others. The others are all been councillors or they've all been involved in politics for a long time. I haven't been.
You're just a citizen of Liverpool.
That's one difference, yeah. But I'm saying I have a vision for the city. Like I had a vision for Kind. I have a vision for the city. And I think, as I say, COVID is giving us a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation opportunity to change.
Yeah.
To change the way we look at the city, to change the way we look at whether we should be building skyscrapers or family homes.
Yeah.
We should be now saying, as you said before, this city should be somewhere where other people look to and say, how did they do it?
100%.
Let's do that, what they did. Let's go down that route. Yeah. And I think if we can do that, happy days.
Fantastic. Right, I'll close out on this last one then. If you're unsuccessful, what will you do?
Almost we go, whoa, I've dodged that one, haven't I? No.
Order a big bowl.
Yeah. Order a big bowl, yeah. No, if I'm unsuccessful, I will do what I was going to do anyway. I'll be working with Kind.
Yeah.
I am not and I'm saying this now, and I've said it to everybody, I am not giving up Kind.
Yeah.
I would work at least half a day of my week at Kind, because this is part of my family. So you don't just walk away from your family. So I'll do half a day with that. If I'm not elected, I hope that some of the ideas that we're pushing forward will be taken up.
Yep.
If I am elected, then it's going to be a hard 4 years, but I'm confident that with the support of the Liverpool people and all those other institutions that we mentioned, we will get through this. We will change the way that our city is viewed. We will instill that pride again.
Yeah.
And I think most of all, we'll lay the foundations for a future where accountability, transparency, honesty is taken as a matter of course.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time, Stephen. It was a pleasure having you on.
It's been a real pleasure, and I hope that you've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Look after yourself. Ta-da. Alright everyone, today's episode is brought to you by Mogwai-CBD, leaders in organic CBD. All my listeners can now get 10% off all CBD products at www.mogwai-cbd.com. That's MOGWAI-CBD.com. Alternatively, you can go across to the Instagram page, Mogwai_CBD, and just follow the link there to the website. Now, if you use discount code NOWTHEN10, that's NOWTHEN10, NOWTHEN10, you can get 10% off all products there.